The world of work is changing. But why is it changing? How is it changing? And what should you and your organization do about it? Hi, my name is Jacob Morgan. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and futurist, and on this show, I'm going to help answer all of these questions. Join me as I go inside some of the world's most forward-thinking companies to tour their offices and interview their executives and employees. Welcome to the Future of Work. Today we're visiting the offices of Parc, which is a Xerox company that's responsible for creating many of the technologies that we use in our day-to-day lives, such as the PC and the Ethernet. In fact, Parc is one of the central focal points of what's responsible for creating Silicon Valley. And of course, Parc is also very well known for working with Steve Jobs to help him develop a lot of the innovative technologies that he used in his computers that he developed. So today we're going to talk with their CEO, we're going to get a tour of their offices, speak with some of their employees, and find out what Parc thinks about the future of work. So I'm here with the CEO of Parc, Stephen Hoover, who's going to show us around and talk to us a little bit about the future of work. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
Great, happy to have you here today, Jacob. Really pleased to have a chance to talk to you about
likewise.
What we do and all of those things. So
cool. All right, well, it's all yours. I guess we'll walk around wherever you tell us to go.
All right, maybe we'll head downstairs to the hardware labs. So Parc, we are in the business of innovation. We're a very unusual research center. We are in the business of innovation. So we are Parc Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Xerox. And the reason we're set up that way is, as opposed to most traditional corporate research centers, is as a wholly owned subsidiary, is again to be in the business of innovation. So we work on early stage technologies. We identify areas where we see over the next decade or so that technology can transform entire industries and businesses and sectors of the economy. And then we innovate into those areas to create the early stage innovation and then find the right customer to take that to market, which often is Xerox, our owner, and about half of the work that we do in the building is in fact aimed at Xerox, but about half of the work that we do isn't. And so
this is where all the innovation for all that sort of stuff happens.
Yep. For Xerox, so for Xerox's business, they've got two big businesses. One is really around the traditional way you know Xerox, printing, copying, but that's actually only half of the business today for Xerox. The other half is services. So above that $20 billion a year business, about $10 billion in services-oriented businesses, ranges from transportation. We do a lot of the automated toll systems like Easy Pass, Fast Pass.
So you guys do a lot of that stuff?
We run those systems for states. We'll walk down and we'll kind of walk in some of the labs and here maybe we turn on the lights. This is an area. You can see these little chemical hood stations. This is an area we're working on battery technologies. So an area that we invented laser printing. And laser printing is about really moving small particles in controlled ways. And so there's a lot of physics involved in that. Today, a big problem we all face in the world is clean energy. And so at Parc, we've got a set of activities in batteries, solar, smart grid technologies.
We were just talking earlier how there hasn't been a lot of innovation in batteries recently, like in the world. So we were just talking about batteries and what the future of batteries is going to look like.
Yeah, so we can walk you down to another lab and show you one of the batteries. One of the challenges with batteries is actually using them without ruining them. So remember, we all probably all remember, long ago when the NiCad batteries came out. It was very, you never drained them the whole way, and you had to drain them some before they got the memory effect. Now lithium ion, has a different kind of problem. It doesn't have the same problem with memory, but if you drain a lithium battery too low, you can ruin it. And so it's very hard to measure and understand the state of battery health, we call it, which is the state of charge. And so what happens is, like I have a plug-in electric vehicle, and the battery in there holds 18 kilowatt hours, but you're only allowed to take out 12.
Huh.
There's always 6 left that you're not allowed to use because if you take it too low, you can ruin the battery, and then that's a $10,000 replacement part under the warranty.
That looks like a serious
GM.
machine.
Yeah, we still make a few things here. We look at the areas where there's going to be a rapid change, where our competency can play, and then we really get people to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Challenge them to innovate, and they'll come up with specific areas. So like clean tech is an area we identified, let's see, probably just about a decade ago, where it was pretty clear where there was just a looming problem in the world. It was pretty clear that new technologies were required. It was, again, for us, pretty clear that because of our background in large area electronics, in laser printing, in optics, that we could contribute. And so people started to innovate in those areas, and we picked batteries, solar, and a fuel generation, basically carbon neutral fuel generation. So that's what this is. This is actually, see that tank says ocean, right? That's seawater.
Wow.
And what we do is we take that seawater and turn it into fuel. So carbon
I'm not even going to
dioxide-
ask you how that's done.
We add a little extra. So actually, you combine hydrogen with the seawater, and you make liquid fuel. So the hydrogen economy, people talk is coming, but there's a real problem in distributing hydrogen, and we know there's a problem with carbon capture, right? So it turns out that the ocean concentrates carbon dioxide. It sucks it out of the air. And in fact, it's one of the problems. As carbon dioxide goes up, we get the acidification of the oceans.
Yeah, I see.
Because it sucks all of that.
It says acid over there.
Yeah, little chemistry. So we take the CO2 out of the water, combine it with hydrogen, and create methanol,
So
which is
cool.
like fuel for a top fuel dragster. But and so the idea is you'd use like solar power to convert water into hydrogen. And you'd use it to then to extract the CO2. You combine the CO2 with the hydrogen, you make fuel, and I've turned sunlight into fuel, and I've captured CO2 that fossil fuel has put out into the air.
Hi, I'm Ashish Parekar, and this is my colleague Divyaraj Desai. We are working on a fuel cell project that is funded by the Department of Energy, ARPA-E. And what we're working on is a new type of fuel cell that works directly on natural gas that does not require pure hydrogen. So you might have heard of a lot of things regarding hydrogen infrastructure and the limitation of adoption of fuel cells. So this could potentially solve that problem because you can use the abundant availability of natural gas in the United States and generate electricity without having to use a generator by using our fuel cell system. And we are at a proof of concept stage right now. So we are really trying to see if we can drive the performance to a level of commercial viability where we can then say, yes, this technology is actually commercially viable and we can productize it in the future. So this proof of concept uses a special membrane in the fuel cell, which is based on an ionic liquid. So the idea is that we are able to conduct oxygen through this membrane, which consists of a porous matrix of ceramic with an ionic liquid embedded inside. And by conducting oxygen, you can use any fuel on the other side of the membrane. It doesn't have to be pure hydrogen, because typically a typical hydrogen fuel cell works on using conduction of hydrogen across the membrane. And that is very limiting because now you can only use a specific type of fuel, namely hydrogen, for that fuel cell. When you conduct oxygen in the other direction, you can use any fuel that is available, including gasoline, diesel, or natural gas, like what we're trying to use here.
This whole machine is what does all that?
Yeah, so that is a test setup, and the fuel cell is actually inside the oven because it has to be maintained at a temperature of about 200 plus degrees Celsius. Right now we are running it about, you can see the 225 there.
It's pretty hot.
Yes, that is pretty hot because the oxygen conductivity and the reaction kinetics only work well at sufficiently high temperature. But keep in mind, the solid oxide fuel cell that is competing with actually works at even higher temperatures, and that is a significant limitation. So today's solid oxide fuel cell technology works at maybe 650, 700 degrees Celsius. Woo. And that is very challenging because every time you want to thermally cycle these by turning them on and off, you have some structural problems, things start failing. And by going to temperatures below 300, we hope to solve that problem as well.
You can build it
Very
out of
cool.
plastics and other things.
Right,
so,
right.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to
Appreciate
meet
it.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Chris Chua. I've been here at Parc. I'm a principal scientist here, so I do a variety of different things. One of the key innovations that we work on here is something called surface emitting lasers. These are a special type of lasers that produce light out of a wafer plane. Unlike most wafers that shoot light from the edge of a wafer, these type of lasers operate where the laser beam comes out of the surface. As a result of that, you can pack a lot of different lasers very tightly together into one small area. So these type of lasers have made significant impact in the world. So if you've heard of gigabit Ethernet transceivers, all those optical transceivers are made with light-emitting devices using these type of lasers.
I'm Janos Veres. I lead the printed electronics program at Parc. We do client development for a variety of different companies. Printed electronics is a technology that represents a really interesting opportunity for companies in the material science who develop new functionality materials that represents higher value than commodity materials. It is also a very interesting opportunity for companies who are in the business of print, because it potentially enables to use printing as a manufacturing technique to do something more interesting than just papers, color and letters on paper. It is also a very interesting opportunity for consumer product companies and people who dream up new kind of devices that are represent a flexible, conformal, new kind of electronics which can be put on paper, on flexible substrates. So this ranges from devices that go on a piece of packaging, for example, to monitor the quality of the product as it goes through the supply chain. It can monitor temperatures, it can monitor the freshness of the product. It can add a few bits of memory as a functionality to track how many times the device has been used. It can include wireless functionality, literally within the packaging. And what makes it interesting is you can create this right at the same time when you print the barcode and you create the colorful packaging. This will evolve into a higher level technology on the longer term, which will include microchips. That takes you to technologies where you can include microchips and sort of smart inks to be able to print more complex electronics, for example, wearable devices. Beyond that, we are also working on things that kind of represent the future generation of electronics manufacturing, where we make literally the microchips themselves into an ink. We disperse them in a liquid and we print with those microchips. And that means we're able to define electronics with a printing technique very similar to the way we print today. Today we print colors and shapes.
This is our lobby where we welcome guests into Parc, and what we try to do here is give them a little sense of who we are and what we do. And the first thing you notice is what I think is some really interesting artwork here on the wall. This beautiful photography of Silicon Valley. It's by an artist we actually hired. I'll show you then the exhibits that we use. By an artist, Josh Rossi, who we really love for a bunch of reasons, and he agreed to do this artwork for us. You see these really interesting pictures, and they all, as you see, involve people with technology and light. And I think this is a big part of who Parc is it encapsulates a couple of things. One is, again, we're about putting people at the center of technology. Technology is there to help make people's lives better. And so we use the visual representation. Light represents innovation, newness. The mouse was actually invented at SRI down the street from us, but what we actually did was connect it to the graphical user interface. And then we put people at the center and then do good science to understand, again, their problems. So you see the different designs of the mice?
Yeah.
How many buttons? Vertical, horizontal. You see that, what looks like a medieval torture gear that's sitting on the head? That's actually a device to do eye tracking measurement, something which is done today very commonly on websites. It was, where is people attention going? How long do they spend that? We, again, measured the responsiveness of different mouse technologies, right?
Wow.
And integrated into, here you see the Alto, which is really the first personal workstation. This is a really cool, isn't it? I think this is just beautiful looking piece of, it's a solar panel. And what's special about the solar panel is only half of it is solar panel. So you see those blue stripes? That's the solar panel. The other are reflectors. They're mirrors which reflect the light onto the solar. So you take the cost, you take half the cost out by replacing the solar cell with a very low-cost mirror. And now I can get, it turns, it's still physically big, but you can get about the same energy for about 75% of the cost.
Wow.
And we're in the process of commercializing that technology right now and working on fuel cells, batteries, some of the other technologies that we showed you down in the lab.
That's very cool.
All right, great.
All right, cool. Well,
great.
thank you very
Good.
much.
Hopefully that was...
No, that's great, yeah. So who are you and what do you do at Parc?
My name is Karen Bouvier. I'm the Environment, Health and Safety Manager for Parc.
Have you seen changes in like office styles or management styles at all?
That's been slower to change, at least in my experience. It's most places are still fairly traditional.
Sounds like technology is the big area.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you think about the future of work, what pops into your mind?
For me, especially in what I see at Parc, a lot more collaboration. In safety, we can be most successful when we're able to integrate what we do, what we need, what we're asking, with the work that people are already doing. And so if we can collaborate with them at the beginning of a project, for instance, and understand what kind of work they're doing, then we can help them to be able to work safely and within the regulatory requirements.
What do you care about most at a company? What is most valuable or important to you?
Being valued, being recognized for, and for my function not being something off to the side that's necessary evil, but being an important part of the work, and I have that here at Parc.
Yeah, which is fantastic. But, there's been this big trend towards open offices, but at Parc here, everyone has an office. So what do you think about that? This whole debate between open offices versus everybody having an office or a cubicle.
I think the hard part for me about the open office would be not having as much quiet time, time to be able to concentrate. But I wish that we had more access to open office areas, because for us, the more contact we have with our internal customers, the more successful we are. The more we can be walking down the hallway or walking near where people are working, they'll stop us, whereas they won't necessarily come to our office on the end of the end of the building. But if we happen to be walking by, we can participate more in the work that they're doing.
So who are you and what do you do at Parc?
I'm a research fellow here at Parc, which means I go around and I kibitz. I'm a professional kibitzer. I've worked on many things here at Parc since I've been here for 42 years.
Wow.
And
I think you have the record for everybody that I've interviewed so far of being at a company the longest.
Well, the thing about Parc is it's a kind of place which lets you reinvent yourself.
When you think about the future of work, what pops into your mind? What do you think about?
The future of work. Well, I see the future of work, we're going to become more and more partners with our computers. So right now we use the computers, they're a tool, but they will become more and more a partner in what we want to do.
What do you think about millennials in the workplace?
Millennial, well, I should say some of my best friends are millennials, but I haven't had a lot of experience with millennials per millennial. I mean, the people here come here because they want to, they're excited, they drive, they want to do things. I mean, that's what I like about this place, is the people. And it's been, I've been very fortunate in having education at incredible places, MIT, Harvard, etc. And it's the smart people who you get to interact with, which make a place be what you like it to
Regardless
be.
of age.
Regardless of age.
So who are you and what do you do at Parc?
So my name is Sai Nelaturi. I am a research scientist at Parc, and I'm a mechanical engineer by training. I got my Ph.D. in computer-aided design. And so at Parc, I work on a lot of problems that involve automating the interfaces between design and manufacturing.
So what do you think about the future of work?
Well, what the future of work? So looking at the history of the world, right, like in the last 15, 20 years, we've seen that the barriers for knowledge have been just breaking down, you know, and things have become more and more open. For example, Wikipedia is a pretty credible source of information if you're actually looking at doing mathematics, for example. And you don't really have to read very detailed math papers now to educate yourself on things. And I found that very valuable when I was doing my graduate work. And so because barriers of knowledge are breaking down and things are becoming far more collaborative, they're also becoming collaborative between disparate groups of people who might otherwise not meet, you know, and work
Like different
together.
teams?
Like different teams, different people with different skill sets, you know. And that's, I think, where innovation can really come from, where like you have people who are from completely different backgrounds who view things in totally different ways and start approaching the problem, and you come up with very creative solutions as a consequence, as opposed to having a sort of homogenized or more structured view of thinking that evolves in, you know, more disparate societies of thinking.
How do you think the workplace is changing or is going to continue to change over the next, let's say, 10 years?
Okay, so I think that computing itself, like people have said earlier, is going to influence the way we make decisions about our day-to-day life, about where we work, about what work we do even. Because like, you know, at this point of time, your life and my life is a dot on Google's machine learning algorithm, you know, and like...
That's kind of creepy.
And so eventually it's going to get to it might get to a point where everything about you is so personalized that you can sort of expand yourself and open yourself up to more than just one group, one area, one company, one organization, you know.
So you think people might work for multiple companies?
It could happen, yeah. I mean, everyone becomes a sort of freelancer.
It's funny, I was just going to ask you, do you think that full-time employment is on the verge of extinction and everybody will be a freelancer?
I don't think it's going to be on the verge of extinction, because I think that for a lot of things you do require structure and you do require feedback, you know, and like and when you have people who you respect and you work with and whose feedback you're willing to take, I think that's an absolutely important part of innovation.
Sure.
And so you know, there's going to be some kind of hybrid combination of these things that's going to happen, and hybrid combinations usually are the way things evolve.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. So what do you care about most in a company?
I care the most about freedom, you know, about the freedom that we have as employees, both in terms of organizing our schedules and, but more importantly, intellectual freedom, right, in terms of the ideas that we think
So you get to
about.
pick what you're interested in and kind of go that direction.
Yes, we do get that freedom here actually at Parc.
So you are obviously the CEO of Parc. What do you think about the future of work?
That technology has made it so easy for people to find each other and to collaborate on a project that I think you're really going to see the start of organizations and corporations, businesses kind of coming into existence to create something and then going away. You know, the virtual corporation and work team. And so the analogy I make for people is think about a major motion picture, you know, Titanic. It's a $250 million business that comes together for 3 years, right? A set of people who maybe all never worked together before, they come together, they have this incredibly complicated, you know, vision. And it's you know, it's got an artistic part, a creative part, it's got there's a lot of detail and practicalities, there's a lot of technology that all comes together and happens, and then it goes apart.
Yeah.
And then those people, you know, James Cameron does his next one, and some people came back, but not all the same people. It's financed totally independently. I think you're going to see a lot more things in the world made that way.
What still excites you about work?
The ability to work with a lot of really smart, interesting people, and to have some role in creating new technologies that millions of people use.
Yeah.
I just think that's cool.
Are you seeing any, I guess, workplace or management practices that have been pervasive in the past that are starting to become outdated or might become outdated in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that the idea, so innovation has been, is even more today viewed as a competitive weapon and necessary to survive, and I think that's right. But I think there's a lot of people who view that as 3 bar equal to, well, I have to do all of that myself.
Well, perfect. I mean, we talked for a while. You answered all my questions. That was great. So
Great,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much. I really appreciate it.
Very good, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
I spent several hours on site at Parc's offices here in Palo Alto, California. We met some of the amazing people that are here and responsible for driving innovation, not just in Silicon Valley, but across the world. We also got to see some of the amazing equipment that the researchers here at Parc use to drive innovation and come up with these new products and services and programs that companies all over the world are implementing. And I can definitely say, after visiting the offices at Parc, innovation is definitely not a walk in the park.